and what you believe and what your intuition is telling you have an impact on what you do, or are you just completely copying the system? Typically with trading, you tend to be more non-discretionary because it's a lot more emotional, and also it's a lot more about the data. But when you are dealing with higher time frames and you're dealing with more investing, you tend to be more intuition based, okay, in your system. Have you been investing long enough to have developed intuition, right? Maybe you're only just new and you don't want to follow intuition. Have you left space in your strategy for discretion? Can you tell the difference between emotion and intuition? This is a big one. A lot of the time, you'll see a signal and you won't want to buy much out of fear, and you will say, oh, I don't feel like buying. That's not intuition, that's fear. And how big of a role does intuition play? So we went over that before. We went over that before as well. Network. Who do you know that you can improve a system with? Do you run your strategy by anyone in your network for confluence? Who do you know that can get you access to the best data? Right? So when you're building a system, you have to consider the network. Use your network to build the best strategy possible. So let me give you an example. When I built the airdrop farming, I just messaged a guy. I was like, hey, can we build an airdrop farming thing together? So I used my network to improve my system, right? What was my system before I met Dino with farmbase.pro? Right? What was I doing? Well, I was manually farming layer 0, and I created a guide step by step how to do it. Then I realized, why don't I just automate the whole thing? Right? So that's how you use your network to improve your strategy. And number 5 is refinement. What you need to understand is that even though you have a strategy that works now, you have to constantly fix it. Let's say that base has an airdrop. What do we do now? We need another airdrop. We need to keep farming. So you need to be refining it to farm new things. Also, with the Hunter algos, we've changed it so many times. We've made minor changes at least 10, 20 times in the past 2 years. It's because the market changes, right? And the system remains accurate because we do that. Is there better data for you to utilize, that you can utilize for your system, right? Constantly refine it. A strategy must be constantly refined or it will stop working, okay? So this is all the different questions that you need to ask yourself when you are building a strategy, the 5 most important components. When you factor all of these in, you'll be able to, begin building your strategy. Again, let me emphasize, I didn't follow any process or strategy. I just sort of winged it and it just all came together. And that's sort of what happens. You have to just follow I know it sounds so cringe and like airy-fairy, but you just have to follow your intuition. All my success is just following intuition. Sometimes a successful person will tell me do this, do that, but really it's just like me thinking, what's the best thing I can do? And then doing that. And it just works pretty much every time without mistake. Now, if your brain is shit, maybe what your brain tells you to do is wrong. Maybe your intuition is stupid. But when you develop through this course the right mindset, you should eventually get to a point where you'll be able to make correct decisions, right? All right. So here's a little step-by-step. I know people love step-by-steps. Everyone loves, just tell me the step-by-step, please. Just tell me what to do every single click of my computer button, please. I know you guys love this. Let me try to make it for you. Number 1, you've got to experience, ideally, an entire market cycle, or most of a market cycle, and then determine, what do you prefer? Do you like buying bottoms and tops? Do you like trend following? Are you a day trader? Are you a swing trader? Momentum trader? Typically, if you're a more action, thrill-seeking person, you prefer trading. If you're a more stoic, calm person, you prefer investing. So maybe your personality is going to move you in a certain direction. And you can determine what you prefer based on what you were doing in that market. I'll give you an example. Sometimes your style changes over time. When I was in university in 2020, I was trading US stocks from midnight to 5 a.m. Monday to Friday. So I'd go to bed when the sun came up, and I was eating fucking 2-minute noodles and just being in some tiny little university dorm, right? Every day. Midnight strikes, US market wakes up because I'm in Australia, started trading, right? Trying to learn it. And then, because I was learning from a mentor. And then 5 a.m., go to bed, fucking sunrise is coming up. When the sun comes up, it fucks with your brain as well. When you see the sun, you're like, oh my God, I'm not tired anymore. Because there's something about the sun rising that wakes you up. So that's like the worst thing that you can have, going to bed when the sun comes up. That's happened a few times when I've been working the past couple months. I'll be filming videos and I'll look outside and I'll be like, fuck, it's getting bright out there. And suddenly I'm awake and I could work for 10 more hours. It's fucked up. So at the time I was into trading, but over time I became more and more of an investor. And I'm now moving into investing and more focused on finding small projects and trying to get higher returns versus the hunter algo on the larger coins, right? The focus is shifting, and I'm also into airdrop farming now, right? So your strategy is going to evolve over time. Determine what data is accurate for this style. So if you're, let's say you're doing momentum trading, right? You're probably going to be using trading patterns, right? So let me show you an example of this, of what I mean. Actually, let me first show you the 3 types, right? So I love mean reversion. I buy bottoms and I sell tops. But that's not the only way you can approach crypto. You can also do trend following. So you can buy when the trend goes bullish. Maybe you have moving averages which, you know, have to cross for you to buy or something, right? And then when it crosses below, let's say the moving average crosses back below, maybe you then close the position, right? So you hop on the trend and you hop off before it ends. Another one is pattern trading, right? Descending triangle or bull flag, whatever you'd like to call it. Breakout, retest, boom. Maybe that's your strategy, right? So you can see that there's a number of ways that you can approach markets. If you're a momentum trader, maybe you know, your data is, maybe it's like support and resistance, right? Like this, right? Maybe you long the retest, right? Breakout, long the retest. I don't know what, maybe whatever your strategy is, right? And if you're more an investor, you're probably going to be looking at sentiment, because on let's say a 5-minute chart, sentiment doesn't matter. It's all about, on the lower the time frame you go, the more the price is about order books and liquidations and leverage, wipeouts, and all that sort of stuff, right? That's the low time frame. And the higher the time frame that you go, the more it's about sentiment. Maybe the weekly chart, maybe it's all about support and resistance, right? High time frame support and resistance. Maybe it's about different tools that show sentiment, right? Make a top list of the tools for this style. So for me, when I'm doing my investing, it's funding, bid and ask depth, because that's a reflection of what whales are doing, the unrealized profit and loss, the short-term holder profit and loss, and all these different tools, right? Backtest the data over a longer time horizon to confirm its accuracy. Use them in forward testing, see if you can make money. Iterate, iterate, iterate. Combine with other data. Add in intuition over time to help determine position sizing, right? So maybe you come up with a system and you add intuition in to determine how much you should add when you see the data saying to buy. If you're trading, you've got to get nerdy with risk management, with journaling, with risk and reward. Trading is much more numbers-based. Investing is much more patience and execution-based, if that makes sense. Trading is a lot more about getting the numbers right, getting really nerdy with how you do it, and investing is more about how well you can implement the mindset of stoicism, right? Very different approach. And again, here's the different styles. Here's a few styles. You don't necessarily have to be mean reversion like me. Maybe you're a trend follower. There's a guy I used to work with. His name was Adam. He has a really great trend following system, right? He buys when the trend's up and he sells when the trend's down. And it works in trending markets, right? So the advantage of trend following is that when the market's trending, like with Solana, he's hopping on the trend and it's easy to make money because the market's trending, right? The problem with mean reversion is maybe, right? Maybe the market never goes low enough for my mean reversion to kick in and to trigger a buy signal. So then you end up missing the rally, right? But let's say the market's going sideways like this and like this. His trend following system might go buy here, sell here, buy here, and it doesn't work. So sideways markets, trend following doesn't work. Trending markets, trend following works, and vice versa, right? Okay, So that's how you build a system, okay? This is how you do it. This is how you build a strategy. This is how you build an edge. 5 components. Here's a step-by-step. Here's a list of a few strategies you could follow. I've gone over in the last video my edges, my strategies. Hope this was useful. Before my computer dies, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.